Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Guru Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashye Bhakshabharyajatraah Sthirairangaiः Tushtuvagam Sastanobhiः Vyashema Devahitai Yadayuः Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedhaः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Hari Om. Namaste friends. Team Param Vedanta welcomes you all to yet another spiritually enlightening, profound masterclass. In the last few classes, we have studied various significant verses from various Upanishads like Isha Vasya, Kaivalya, Taittreya, Chandogya, and Mundaka. From today, let us embark on a journey of contemplating one more important Upanishad. This particular Upanishad is the basis or an inspiration to the great guru of the great Shankaracharya, Gaudapadacharya's Karika. This Upanishad indicates the significance of Omkara Shabdam, which symbolizes the Brahman, the Anantam in three aksharams. This Upanishad discusses in detail on Avastatrayam and Turiyam. It is one of the shortest Upanishads assigned to Atharva Veda. This Upanishad is the spiritual honey for all Vedantic bees. Now introducing the spiritual speakers, the bees, the honey, the Mandukya Upanishad with Karika. To contemplate on the same, Dr. Ravishankarji will explain the Shanti mantra, followed by verse explanation by Dr. Anupama, Dr. Ashwini, Dr. Vani Bhaskar, and Srimati Kirti Sridhar. Today's moderation, presentation, and deeper insights will be given by Dr. Hegde sir as usual. Over to you, sir.
Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Pariyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. Indeed, a great privilege to be able to study the Mandukya Upanishad. And the Mandukya Upanishad will be studied along with Gaudapada's Karikas. There are few requirements for Mandukya. Now, all of us over so many years, at least since the time our classes have come online, that is about 4 years now, we have studied the Bhagavad Gita many times, the Bhagavad Gita verse by verse. We have studied many Upanishads mantra by mantra, particularly Mundaka, Katha, and Kaivalya. We have studied 108 important verses of Viveka Chodamani. Among the Panchadashi Tripti Deepa, the magnum opus, we have studied in detail. Shri Dakshinamurti, Manisha Panchakam, Upadesha Sara, Tattvaboda, and so on. Now that must make us declare that we are not beginning students of Vedanta, but we are Uttama Adhikari. And what does Uttama Adhikari mean now? What is the whole essence of all Vedanta? I want you to think, what is the essence of all Vedanta? If you have to put the whole Vedanta in one sentence, it is Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Napara. All three are extremely difficult to believe, that there is only one reality called Brahman, which I don't see and experience. The world that I can see and experience is not so real. And my true nature is one with Brahman. To come to that truth from Asato Ma Sadgamaya, the teachers until now have prepared us in two levels of reality before we come to absolute reality. One level of reality which we all know. Give me one moment. One level of reality which we all know as not so real is our dream. While we are dreaming, it is absolutely real. But the moment we wake up, we know it is a dream. It is not so real. It is not significant. It does not affect me. And that reality is called Pratibhasika. From Pratibhasika, we wake up to what we call a tangible reality, which we can feel. And in this tangible reality, which we think is a real world, awakened teachers, those who have woken up to another higher level, will say, this is also not real. This is also like, it is also mithya. Now, the big debate comes, whatever I have seen in my dream is unreal. And the teacher says, this is also unreal. Now, are there two levels of unreality? Yes or no? So we are going to discuss that, particularly when we come to Mandukya. In Mandukya, it is the highest as far as the Upanishads are concerned. And because it is taking us to such rarefied levels, our background of the previous Upanishads are important, and I'm sure all of us have that adhikari. To give you an insight to the ultimate, there are few things, few terms that we need to know. One is called Ajativada. What is Ajativada? What is Ajativada? It means there is no such thing called creation at all. Scientifically also it is true. Why do we say scientifically true? Matter can neither be created nor destroyed. From the scientific angle also we say. What about consciousness? Can consciousness be created? What is that verse which says, Na jayate mriyate va, nayam bhutva bhavita, na hanyate. That means consciousness is always there. Neither consciousness is created nor matter is created. And that is very clearly brought out. There are so many theories of creation. And in Mandukya, we junk all these. Then what is this we are seeing? It is only a manifestation very similar to dream. And therefore, if you understand it, you come to what is called Asparsha Yoga. What is Asparsha Yoga? Asparsha Yoga is Vedantic untouchability. What is Vedantic untouchability? Once you understand Mandukya, nothing in the world can touch you. No event can affect you. Because why? Asangoham, because I know this world is not so real. Now, there is something called Srishti Drishti Vada and Drishti Srishti Vada. Now, if you're able to understand this and if you're able to make sense of this, Mandukya becomes meaningful. Otherwise, Mandukya remains a little difficult to understand. What is Srishti Drishti Vada? When I wake up in the morning, I see a world around me. And because there is a creation there, I'm able to experience it. Srishti Drishti. What happens in dream? In dream, I create a world. And because I create a world, it is Drishti Srishti Vada. Now, according to Mandukya, the real reality is not Srishti Drishti Vada, but it is Drishti Srishti Vada. Why? Because this world is also not as real as, can you have, now for example, I give you a fake 100 rupee note and a fake 500 rupee note. Which note is more valuable? Is the fake 100 rupee note valuable or fake 500 rupee note valuable? Now, that is what Mandukya will make you convince that this world is fake, the dream world is fake. How can you say this world is 500 rupees and that dream world is 100 rupees? So that is what we have to come to understand. Later, as we go towards these mantras, I will explain something more. Every Upanishad talks about Omkara. And you have one Upanishad now which is exclusively talking about Omkara. The Mandukya Upanishad belongs to Atharva Veda. The other Upanishad that we studied, Mundaka, Prashna, Kaivalya, all belong. Prashna we have not studied. The word Mandukya means frog. Why is it called that way? It is supposed to be Varuna Deva came in the form of a frog and gave this message to the rishis. There is another reason why it is called Manduka, because the Upanishad leaps. It from one idea, it leaps to another, leaving a lot of ground uncovered in between. That is why the teachers of Mandukya have to do a lot of explanation, because many things is assumed in this mantra. This is the smallest of all the Upanishads with just 12 mantras. There are only 12 mantras. That is why it's called a Sutra Bhuta Upanishad. That means it's like Sutra. And it has to be elaborated. And that is why we have the Karikas and Shankara Bhashya, which can elaborate. There is one Upanishad called the Muktiko Upanishad. The teacher is Sri Rama, the student is Hanuman. And in there is one statement which says, Mandukya Eka Eva Alam, which means Mandukya alone is enough for liberation. Gaudapadacharya is the guru of Adi Shankara's guru, Govinda Bhagavat Padacharya. And he has composed certain verse commentary. It is not strictly a commentary. And based on the Upanishads. Now, once you go to Gaudapada Karikas, especially when you come to the Vaitatya Prakarana, you will see the greatness of Gaudapadacharya, where he is able to elaborate in these concepts and make this Upanishad such a great Upanishad. This is the image that I could get online about Gaudapadacharya. The word Gauda means northern Bengal. He's supposed to have walked all the way from northern Bengal to Badrinath, where he met his Acharya Shukacharya. Shukacharya is the son of Vyasacharya. That is why you have a very nice mantra which brings about the Guru Shishya Parampara. Narayanam, Bhagwan, Padma Bhuvam, Brahmaji, Vashishtam, his Manasaputra, Shaktim Cha, the son of Vashishtam, Parasharya, the father of Vyasacharya. Vyasam, Sukam. Sukam had no children. Until now, it is father to son parampara. From Sukam, it has come to Gaudapadacharya. Up until Sukam, these are all rishis and they are all mythological characters. From Gaudapadacharya, they are all itihasic. They are historical characters. Govinda, Bhagavat Padacharya, Shankaracharya, and the whole Asmadacharya until our Guru. The Upanishads and its Karikas are classified into 4 groups. The first is called Agama Prakarana. The word Agama means the Vedas. So the first part, which has 41 verses, 12 of them are the Upanishadic mantras, 29 Karikas. The word Agama means coming. Gachate means to go agama. So it has come from the rishis through a Shruti Parampara. That is why it is called agama. That has come through a tradition. Then there is called a Vaitatya Prakarana. Vitata. When somebody is blessing you, what do you say? Tatastu. Now, Vaitatya means unreal. Tata, may that come true. When somebody blesses you, they'll say, may it come true. Vitata means unreal. In the Vaitatya Prakarana, Gaudapadacharya uses the Upanishads to clarify very clearly that this world is as unreal as the dream world. That is why we have to slowly move. It is extremely difficult to understand that this world is like the dream world. But unless we are able to come to Drishti Srishti Vada, Mandukya becomes difficult to understand. Vaitatya Prakaranam. Then there is another, so many Karikas focused on, if everything is unreal, then what is real? That is called the Advaita Prakaran. Then we have 100 Karikas to discuss various schools of philosophy and finally come to our school of Advaita Vedanta. What are these Karikas? Now, these Karikas, in the first Agama Prakarana, you have a mixture of the Upanishad with the Karika. For example, mantras 1 to 6 will go on in sequence. 5 and 6 being important, the Karikas come. 9 Karikas will come. Then come the 7th mantra. Then many Karikas. Then Upanishadic mantras will go. The mantra is in prose form. The Karika is in verse form. Karika is a human composition, mantras as apaurusheyam. The whole of the Upanishad has a twofold analysis. The first is Atma vichara, who am I inquiring? And the second is an Omkara vichara. Now, Atma vichara means what is consciousness, which is my essential nature. I'm able to see you. Why? Because I'm conscious. You're able to listen to me because you're conscious. That consciousness which makes you alive is nothing to do with your body. It is not part, product, property. It is an independent entity. In fact, the consciousness in you is the same as the consciousness in me. It is that one consciousness. It is like the cellular thing, network, which is interacting with all our phones. And our mind is able to interact. And because of our mind, we are able to have a sense of limitations. So that is how that is this all-pervading consciousness. Now, this has to be taken for, this is taken for granted. What is taken for granted? I am not my body. Then who am I? I am consciousness. This is taken for granted in this Upanishad. And we have 3 avasthas, Jagrat, Swapna, and Shushupti. Now, here are certain fundamental aspects of Vedanta. What are these fundamental aspects of Vedanta? Now, to prove the existence of anything, for example, I have got this mouse on my hand. Now, to prove the existence of any object, it requires a conscious principle. That means if there is something in the world that cannot be verified by anybody at any time, that something is as good as non-existent. That means consciousness, it requires a conscious being to prove existence. So every existent object has a dependent reality. Now, when I wake up, the original consciousness in me seems to split into 2. One is the observer me, pramata, and the observed me, which is called prameyam. So the observed me is called prameyam, the observer is pramata. So the original consciousness, Atma, has split into 2, the pramata in me and the prameyam, the world that I see. This is easy to understand when you go to the dream world. All of us create a dream world. We are the creators of the dream world. In the dream world, what do? Although you are asleep, you have Nidra Shakti. In your Nidra Shakti, you are able to create a dream body for yourself. And that is the Pramata. You not only create a dream body, you create a dream world. And this dream body interacts with the dream world. And as long as it is going well, you are okay. The moment the dream goes bad, then you suddenly wake up. Now, the dreamer you there, the dreamer body is unreal. The dream world is also unreal. So the pramata is not so real. The prameyam is also not so real. So you can see the original consciousness in the waking states splits into Vishwa, Virat, Taijasa, Hiranyagarbha, Prajna, Ishvara. And that is how we are able to understand. Corresponding to the waking, you have the A of the Omkara, A, U, Ma. And the silence that comes is the fourth or the Turiya which comes in and through. So you have a very nice chart here which talks about the 4 padas, the Vishwa, Virat, Taijasa, Hiranyagarbha, Prajna, Ishvara, and the 4th is Turya. The fourth is not a separate avastha. The fourth is in and through. So you have waking, dream, deep sleep, and Ma that corresponds. And then you have mantra number 3 talks about Vishwa, mantra number 4, Taijasa, mantra 5 and 6, which will talk about Prajna. Mantra number 7 will talk about Atma. Now, before we begin any Upanishad, we have to discuss the Shanti Pata. And the Shanti Pata is common to all Upanishads of the Atharva Veda. Dr. Ravi Shankar will explain to us. Dr. Ravi Shankar, please.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangaistustuvagam Sastanubhihi Yashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vridhrashavaah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaah Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatirdhadatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is the Shanti mantra for Atharvana Veda and hence is seen in the beginning of the Prashna Upanishad, the Mundaka Upanishad, the Ganapati Atharva Shirsham, as well as the Suryopasana Upanishad. We see in the next slide that for both material and spiritual growth, we need our effort, which is our free will, which is prayatna. But we also have something adrishtam, which is not seen, and that depends upon our punya and papa karmas. The negative effects of the adrishta phalam is brought down by reciting the Shanti mantras, and the pataha is chanting. This chanting could be, of course, verbal or mental. We further go to see that we need togetherness to achieve multiple things, and that is what we need as teamwork. In the next slide, as you will notice, that when there is teamwork, the personality is fit for successful Shravanam. Karya Karana Sangataha is working together as a team of the Jnanendriyas, the Karmendriyas, the mind and the intellect. So all our organs should be absolutely perfectly fit. And so we have to pray to invoke the grace of the Devatas of each organ called as the Adhisthana Devatas. In the next slide, we notice that Karnebhi Bhadram Shrunuyama is let me hear only auspicious things. And what is this Bhadram? It means the Brahman. Mangalam. There is only one Mangalam, one Bhadram in Vedanta, and that is Brahman, which means let me hear only about Brahman. Bhadram Pashyema Makshabhir Yajatraha. Yajanam is prayer. Tranam means protect. Yajatraha is a method of protecting us by praying to the Devas. Yajantam trayate iti yajatraha. Let my eyes also see only Mangalam. Sarvatra Brahma Darshanam. We should understand that Sarvam Vishnumayam Jagat is all that my eyes should see. In the next slide, Sthirairangai Stuštuvagam. Now we have to understand the glory of Ishvara everywhere and at all times, which means we should understand the Vishwarupa Darshana. That understanding is divinization, and that understanding is the Vibhuti Yoga. Ultimately, it means completely bringing down Raga Dveshaha. How do I do this? We get this kind of physical fitness through the scriptures, glorifying the Lord, that I may be able to worship you. And that is the meaning of Tanubhihi. Let this Ishvara Aradhanam be a part of my life. Yashema is the understanding. In the next slide, Deva Hitam. it is not the devas that give me what I need, but it is the karma hitam as per the Lord, which means it is the laws of karma. So they say Shatayuhu, I don't want to live 100 years and waste my life, but whatever years I live through this Shanti mantra, let there be only Vedanta vichara. Swasti is born voyage. And so may Lord Indra, the great head of the Devas, may this glorious Indra tell born voyage to us. Swastina dadatu. And Swami Paramarthanandaji very clearly says that it is not na, meaning no, but it is naha. The two dots are dropped as the rules of the combination. And here I would like to highlight what we have read long time ago. Shiksham vyakhyasyaamaha varnaswaraha matrabalam samasantanaha ityuktakshikshadhyayaha. The first part of the Shikshavali highlights so important is the matra and the varnas. Naha, highlighting again from a part of the Saundara Lahari where it says Dhanotu dhwantam naha, shamotu shemam naha. Let there be shema for not me, but for all of us. It means all of us. In the next slide, we understand Swastina Pusha Vishwavedaha. Pusha is the Surya Devata. Pushnati iti Pusha, the nourisher of all. Let that omniscient Surya Devata, who is none other than Ishvara or Narayana, give us Swasti. Also, let Garuda, Sthanemi, who is the vehicle of the Lord Vishnu, give us a spiritual journey without any obstacles. In the next slide, Swastina Brahaspati Dadatu. Saraswati is the female deity of wisdom, and Brahaspati is the Deva Guru, the Lord of wisdom. May he make me intelligent enough to absorb the teachings that is given to me by my teacher. Let me understand that ultimate message of Vedanta, which is not that I am a part of this world, but this world is in me. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Let there be no obstacles in this pursuit, the inward obstacles being the Adhyatmika Pratibandha, the obstacles from the living beings around being the Adi Bhautika Pratibandha, and those from the natural forces being the Adi Daivika Pratibandha. In the next slide, very nicely, Swami Chinmayananda ji has said that let the first Shanti be loud for the Devatas to hear. Let the second Shanti be a little mellow for the neighbors to hear. And the third Shanti be very mild for myself to hear. Shri Guru Bhyo Namah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ravi Shankar, for a very nice explanation of a mantra that we have studied so many times, and yet you have given many newer insights into this mantra. There are so many reasons why this mantra, Badram Karne Bihi Shrunayama, should be our daily prayer. Swami Anubhavananda says, when you go in the world, sometimes you hear Gali Sahasranam. People will tell all sorts of things, but then you should have the ability to be able to convert it into something auspicious. Why is he upset with me? Badram, and see it in an auspicious manner. If you look in this prayer, there is one very nice aspect. I'm not asking for a long life, but as long as I live, can all my organs be fit and be functional for me? That is one prayer that we have. This is another new aspect that I heard from Vedji of Chinmayan International Foundation, where he said there are 4 devatas that we pray for in this. One is Lord Indra, the other is Lord Surya, the other is Lord Garuda, and the 4th is Lord Brihaspati. And these 4 lords are for physical well-being, for mental well-being, for intellectual well-being, and for spiritual well-being. Lord Indra represents our mind. And when you pray Swastino Indro Vridrasrava, mental well-being to Lord Indra. Surya is for our intellect. Brihaspati is for our spiritual growth. And Garuda is the one that removes all obstacles, especially when there is some physical ailment. You pray to Lord Garuda to give you good health. And that is why let us have all-round well-being. The opening mantra will be explained by Dr. Anupama. Dr. Anupama, please.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Mandukya Upanishad, Mantra 1. Om iti etad aksharam idam sarvam tasyopyakhyanam bhutam bhavat bhavishyad iti sarvam omkara eva. Yach anyat trikala tadopyankara eva. This mantra talks about Omkara vichara as a means of arriving at the ultimate truth of the universe and ourselves. Idam sarvam om iti etad aksharam. In Taittiriya Upanishad 141, a mantra says, Yaha chandasam rishabo vishwarupa chandobhyo adyamratat sambhabhuva. This means Brahmaji churned, as in intellectually, all the Vedas and skimmed the essence called Omkara. In this verse, Om, the essence of the Vedas, is described as the substratum of the creation. What aspect of the creation? Bhutam bhavat bhavishyad iti sarvam omkara eva. The entire past, present and future. Maya kalpita desha kala kalana. Trai kalika sarvam omkara eva. Also, if there is anything beyond time, that kala atita vastu is also omkara. This means kala avachinna prapancha and kala avachinna prapancha. Omkara reveals that which is within time, the Vyavaharika prapancha, and beyond time, the Paramarthika. What exists beyond time? Brahman, the consciousness. Therefore, inquiry into Omkara is inquiry into everything. It is inquiry into Brahman. Tasyopavakyanam means tasya upavakyanam. Tasya meaning Omkarasya. Upa means intimately, aparokshataya. Vakyanam means a clear and complete exposition is a worthy pursuit. To begin with, what is the Vachyartha of Omkara? We know it has three parts. The Akara representing the Sthula Jagrat Prapancha, Ukara the Sukshma Swapna Prapancha, and Makara the Karana Shushupti Prapancha. Both Omkara and Brahman have four components. The Ma just described are the Vachyartha of Omkara. The silence which follows the Ma is the Amatra. It is the Similarly, the Virat, Garbha, and Antaryami are the Vachyartha of Brahman, whereas the Nirguna Turiya is its Lakshyartha. The first three components of both Omkara and Brahman are Anityam and Parichinnam. Therefore, the Upanishad equates Om to Brahman by using the Lakshyartha. Remember, by Bhaga Tyaga Lakshana. This is how Omkara Vichara helps us arrive at Nirguna Brahman. Let's understand the process. The Lakshyartha of Om is not the Shabda, A, U, Ma, but the silence that follows the Makara. This silence refers to Nirguna Chaitanyam Turyam, the Amatra. Just as the Lakshyartha of Brahman is not Virat Hiranyagarbha Antaryami, but Nirguna Turyam alone. Therefore, Lakshyartha of Brahman and Omkara are identical as Nirguna Turyam. Omkara Vichara, therefore, reveals that Vachyartha dissolves into Lakshyartha. This is called Pravilapanam. How does this happen? The universe we know is Karya Prapancha. It is Artha Prapancha, a product. A product does not exist independently, therefore it is Mithya. Why? Karyatvat. Just as Vacharambanam Vikara Namadheyam. Normally we say this is a phone, this is a book, and this is a pen, isness belonging to the object. Here, Mandukya takes a leap in the reverse. It says a phone means this, a book means this, a pen is this. The isness we see has been transferred to the name. So it means every object has now become the meaning or artha of a word, the name. Artha or object or meaning is called abhidheyam, and the word is called abhidhanam. For example, the word wall is abhidhanam and the object wall is abhidheyam. So the whole world is now a mixture of abhidhanam and abhidheyam. But remember, from what we have just heard, abhidheya, the object prapancha, does not exist separate from abhidhanam, the name, just as this has no existence apart from its name, phone. The abhidheya prapancha now has been resolved into abhidhana. The entire world of objects, abhidheya bhutam, has been resolved into meaning of words. Based on vachyarambanam, vikaro namadheyam, on inquiry, every object just loses its status. And what remains is abhidhanam eva. The world is nothing but nama rupa only. And all objects have now been resolved into words. The next step. All names or words are generated from sounds. Everything in time and space has names, and all names originate from Om. How? The sound Om, the A, U, and Ma, includes the entire range of all possible words that can ever be phonated. Now we see that all the abhidhanani or words are swallowed by Omkara. So first, resolve objects into words. So there is no abhidheyam apart from abhidhanam. And second, resolve all the abhidhanani, the words, into Omkara. And what remains is Omkara alone. And this Omkara is the name of Brahman. Omkara being the abhidhanam and Brahman the abhidheyam. Although the relationship is name and meaning, Upanishad says the lakshyartha of both, turyam equals amatra, they are one and the same. So, having negated the creation as non-substantial, what is the relevance? Artha nishedhana shabdasya api nisheda bhavati. Why? The revealer becomes relevant only when there is something to be revealed. With both vachyam and vachakam resolved, what remains is nirguna turyam, the lakshyartha of Omkara and Brahman. Thank you.
Now you see the difficulty in Mandukya. It looks very simple. Everything is Om. Everything is Om. So the Upanishad begins by saying Om is everything. Everything within time that we experience and everything beyond time. For example, Brahman and Maya, they are all Om itself. And then when we come to the next mantra, we will say everything is Brahman. Now we have a problem. If everything is Om and everything is Brahman, then Om and Brahman is one and the same. Now there are, when you go to Shankara Bhashyam, you will hear one term coming every time. Abhidhana and Abhidheya. Abhidhana means the name. Like Dr. Anupama, the name. Abhidheya is the person that is reflected by the name. Normally, the name and the person are different. But here, you will see from the Vachyartha, they are different from Lakshyartha. From the implied meaning, you will see they become one and the same. Because that is how Mandukya resolves the name, Abhidhana and the Abhideya. Now, when you chant Om, you begin by opening your mouth. When you finish chanting Om, you close your mouth. From opening of the mouth to A to closing of the mouth to Ma, all the letters are there. If all the letters are there, all the words are there. And all the words represent all the objects. So you have the Abhidhana and the Abhideya. So all the words, that is, when you chant Om, the world is born. When you stop chanting Om, the manifested world disappears. Like you breathe in and you breathe out, you are born and you die. The next mantra, which is the Mahavakya, will be explained to us by Dr. Ashwini. Dr. Ashwini, please.
Thank you, sir. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Mantra 2. Sarva etad Brahma, Ayamatma Brahma, Soyamatma Chatushpat. The translation is, all this indeed is Brahman. This very self is Brahman, and that Atma, which is constantly available, has 4 aspects or facets. The entire universe, which was equated to Omkara, is also equated to Brahman. Brahman is everything within time and as well as beyond time. So inquiring into Brahman is equated to inquiring to everything. And what is that Brahman? Upanishad answers that Atma is nothing but Brahman. Atma is myself. Therefore, Atma vichara is Brahma vichara. The investigation into the Atma, or you, yourself, or myself, will lead to inquiring into the entire creation, which is within and beyond time. Because Atma is Brahman, identity of individual to absolute, which is the Advaita Vedanta consolidated into one profound sentence. Hence, I am Atma Brahma is a Mahavakya. It's from our Mandukya Upanishad, which means this very self is Brahman. The other important Mahavakyas are Prajnanam Brahma, taken from Aitariya Upanishad, which means awareness, from Rigveda. Tattvamasi from Chandogya Upanishad, which means that thou art, from Samaveda. Aham Brahma Asmi from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which means I am Brahman, from Yajurveda. So the second inquiry or the second mantra says all is about Atma Vichara. Next slide, sir. Introducing Atma Vichara in mantra 2, the Upanishad gives an important message that Soyam Atma Chatushpat. The self has got 4 quarters or facets or aspects. The question is, what are those 4 aspects? And the second thing is, Mandukya Upanishad slightly differently explains the Atma Vichara when you compare it with other Upanishads. What does it say is that which is never experienced is Satyam, and whatever we experience is Mithya or false. Like the eyes can see everything but cannot see themselves. The seer cannot be seen. The experiencer cannot be experienced. So I, the observer alone, am Satyam, and every other thing is Mithya, because it is observed or experienced. How to reach this conclusion? Drawing from Swami Paramarthananda and Swami Sarvapriyananda, I shall attempt to discuss this in 5 steps. Now, step 1. The existence of any object depends on whether we know that, which means knowability. How do we know? We either see them, hear about them, read about them, or learn the scientific theories about them, have an hypothesis, inferred about it, which means that object should come to your awareness. It has to be knowable at some time by someone. So existence depends upon knowability. Anything becomes knowable when there is a knower. Now we have to see certain terminologies here. First thing, a knowable object. For example, this is a pen. This pen is prameyam. It's a knowable object. Who is knowing this? I know this as a pen. So knower is pramata. Now, instrument or source of knowledge is pramana. In this case, my eyes can see this as a pen. My skin has touched this, and so the eyes and skin have become the instruments or source of knowledge. So that becomes pramana. And the knowledge gained by this is prama. So the first stage is things must be prameyam. To exist, it must be knowable. Next slide, sir. Now, the second step is Knowability depends on the knower. So there is no knowledge without the knower, which means prameyam depends on pramata. Now I will put a simple formula here. First, let's say A is to exist. It has to exist. B, it must be knowable. C, knowability depends on the knower. So we say A is equal to B, it is equal to C. Hence A is equal to C. So, which is to exist, things depends on the knower. In principle, it should be knowable. It must be available for experience. Hence, existence of an object depends on the subject. Next slide, sir. Now, the step 3, pramata. How do I know this? I depend on my consciousness. You call it consciousness, awareness, sentience, because we feel, we can imagine, we lie, we experience. So, we depend on Atma or Chit or consciousness. So, consciousness in conjunction with mind and sense organs, which are instruments of knowledge, is helping us experience anything that is existing. Therefore, subject I alone lends existence to all the objects in the creation. Let me repeat this. This is very important. Therefore, subject I alone lends existence to all the objects in the creation. Now, in step 4, we derive that everything in the world is a dependent existence. So, it is mithya or false because it is an object of experience. For example, we can take furniture and wood, or most commonly a necklace and gold. Here, gold is relatively true, whereas necklace has a name, it has a nama, it has a form, it has a rupa, it has an use, it has a vyavahara, which is mithya. And it cannot exist without gold, that is satya. So, prameyam, that is knowable, and pramata, which is knower, have no independent existence. Because if we remove all instruments of knowledge, knower would false. Consciousness alone still exists, which appears as knower and knowable. Next slide, sir. So when we say that entire world is mithya, because it's an object, what about this body? Since body and mind are clearly experienced by me, they are mithya. And I am satyam. So this pramata and prameyam, which is mithya, comes in 3 flavors, the 3 segments. One is Waker's universe, which includes body and mind, experienced in waking state only. It is a very superficial avastha. Second, Dreamer's universe, available only in dream state. This is also experienced. Hence, even though it's an interesting avastha, it is also mithya. The third one, the deep sleep state, both physical and dream resolve into causal aspect. It's like the dream and sthula comes out from the mass of blankness. This is extremely interesting avastha. These 3 universes are mutually exclusive and subject to arrival and departure. And more importantly, we experience, or I experience this every day. I am associated with all these 3 as an observer. I as an observer of waking universe called Vishwa, dream universe as Taijasa, causal universe as Prajna. So beginning with Vishwa, it dissolves into one another and become one with Brahman or Turiya, which is the 4th aspect, the consciousness itself, which has been there all through these stages. Next slide, sir. Understanding this unchangeable consciousness will lead to understanding core of everything. So, Atma vichara is Brahma vichara, which brings us to the terminology aprameya, that is the consciousness. Now, this stotra that is taken, it is from the Lalita Sahasranama. So here I have highlighted one part which says aprameya swaprakasha mano vachama gochara chitchaktish chetana rupa jadashaktir jadatmika. I just want to take 1 minute to explain this. Now, aprameya is who is immeasurable by the senses. Swaprakasha is self-luminous. Mano vachama gochara, beyond the range of mind and speech. Chit Shakti, power of consciousness. Chetana Rupa, pure consciousness. Jada Shakti, who is Maya, that has transformed itself as power of creation, Jadatmika in the form of inanimate world. Now, this is the composition of Shankaracharya. Most of us chant this on a daily basis. But with understanding of these profound words, it can be experienced too by changing the bhavana. Thanks to the lineage of gurus from Gaudapadacharya to Adi Shankara to Swami Paramarthananda to Sir for introducing us to this Brahma Vidya. Thank you, Sir. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ashwini, for an excellent explanation of a very difficult mantra. You have done full justice to the mantra, both Dr. Anupama and you have done so. Now, you see the difficulty in Mandukya. Now, this is a Mahavakya. I am Atma Brahma. This, something very close to me, is Brahman. And Mandukya straightaway jumps to it. Now, before any Upanishad comes to a Mahavakya, there is a lot of preparation for it, and finally you bring it in all our Upanishads. Here, the Upanishad straightaway jumps, and in the last verse, which said everything is Om, and now it says everything is Brahman. Now, these are the difficulties. But then when you go through the same thing with Gaudapada Karikas, we'll be spending many months with this. And therefore, but some fundamentals will be there. Now, what is the fundamental? I see an experienced world. I am the experiencer. We know that the drik is the real and the drishyam is not so real. Therefore, the drik is the one who lends existence to the world. Slowly, when you come to Advaita, there is a realization that you alone exist. And this whole world is like your dream that you are seeing in front of you. So, I am Atma Brahma. Let this be a reality. We will see the next mantra and then that will be explained by Vani. Vani, please.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. The third mantra says, Jagratistano Bahishpragnaha Saptanga Eko Navimshati Mukha Stulabh Vaishwanara Pratama Padaha. So the meaning of this verse is the first quarter as Vaishwanara, whose field is a waking state, whose consciousness is outward, who has 7 limbs, who has 19 mouths, and who is the experiencer of the gross objects. So in the first 2 mantras, we saw the Omkara Vichara and Atma Vichara. But from this third mantra, Atma Vichara, it is explained in detail. So this mantra talks about the first quarter, that is the Pratama Pada. So Jagrata Sthana, Jagrat is waking, Sthanam is Avastha. So Jagrata Sthana is the consciousness in the Jagrata Avastha or the waking state. In the Jagrat state, the pure consciousness, is associated with Stula Namarupa. Associated with Stula Namarupa, I appear in 2 folds, Jagrat Pramata and Jagrat Prameya. So Jagrat Pramata is the knower principle or the waker's body, and Jagrat Prameya is the noble principle or the waker's world. So when the consciousness is associated with Vyashti Stula Namarupa, that is the individual physical body level, then I is called the Pramata, the waker's body. So this is at the micro level, that is the individual level. When the consciousness is associated with the Samashti Stula Namarupa, that is at the universal level, then I become the Prameya. So Vyashti Namarupa, that is individual level, that is a micro level, I am Pramata, the knower or the waker's body. And Samashti Namarupa, the cosmic level or the macro level, I am the Prameya or the noble universe or the waker's world. So now let us come to the knower, that is Pramata description. Bahish Pragnaha. So in Jagrata Avastha, when I am associated with individual body, that is individual name and form, I become the waker. As a waker, my consciousness is always turned outside. That is, it is extrovert through Gnanendriyas and Karmendriyas. That is organs of knowledge and organs of action. And Eko Navimshati Mukaha. So Eko Navimshati is 19. Mukaha is the openings of counters. So in Jagrata Avastha, I, the knower, interact with the world with the help of these 19 counters. They are the 5 sense organs of knowledge, that is the 5 Gnanendriyas, through which the world goes inside. And they are like the entrance gates. And next is the 5 organs of actions, that is 5 Karmendriyas, where I contribute to the world, and they are the exit gates. And Pancha Pranas are the 5 pranas: Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, and Samana. Antakarana are the 4 internal organs, that is a Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, and Ahankara. So Manas is the coordinating and emotional faculty. Buddhi is the judging or rational faculty. Chittam is the memory or the recollecting faculty. Ahankara is the ego faculty. So then next, coming to the next word, Stula Bhug. Stula means gross objects. Bhug means experiencer. So in the waking state, I experience an external world which is gross, Stula, and is made up of 5 gross elements. Stula Atma is again divided into Jagrat Pramata, Waker's body, Jagrat Prameya, Waker's world. So Waker's body is with the individual Namarupa, Waker's world is with the total Namarupa. So Bahish Pragnaha, Eko Vimshati Mukha, Stula Bhug are all Jagrat Pramata or the Waker's body. Technical name given to this Jagrat Pramata is Vishwa. So in Jagrat Avastha state, I, the individual, take up the role as Vishwa. Now the Upanishad says, I myself is the Jagrat Prapancha, the Prameyam also. Here, I does not mean my body or the mind. Here, I means the one all-pervading consciousness principle. I, the all-pervading conscious principle with varieties of Namarupa, appear as sun, moon, stars, different lokas. So with Samashti Namarupa, I myself am called Virat Ishvara. But in this verse, in this mantra, it is called as the Vaishvanara. So I'm not only the individual Vishwa, but the corresponding Samashti, which is called Virat or Vaishvanara. In Vishnu Sahasranama also, in Dhyana Shloka, we see Bhupada Vyasya Nabir Vyeda Sulasni Nilachandra Surya Uchanetre. So, which explains the Vishwarupa. In Bhagavad Gita 11th chapter also, we see the Vishwarupa. The whole universe is Vishwarupa. So, Virat, Vaishvanara, Vishwarupa are the same, which is I alone with Samashti Namarupa. So, Virat is described as Saptanga Ishvara in Chandogya Upanishad, the Lord with 7 different cosmic limbs. They are the heavens is the head of the Virat, the sun and moon are the eyes of Virat illuminating everything. The entire atmosphere is the life breath of Virat. The mouth is fire principle. In Vedic rituals, offerings are made into fire. In Bhagavad Gita 11th chapter also, Krishna's mouth is likened to fire. And the next one is the entire space is the body of Virat. The oceans is the bladder of the Virat. The earth is the legs of Virat. So from earth up to heaven, it is Virat or Vaishvanara. So in the waking state or Jagrat Avastha, I at the individual level, micro level is Vishwa, and I at the cosmic level, macro level is Virat or Vaishvanara. Thus, I, the Atma, the observer or experiencer, am appearing as Vishwa and Virat in the waking state. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Vani, for another excellent explanation. Full justice done to another very difficult mantra. This is Mandukya. I'm not trying to discourage you, but this is how this mantra is. So let us make a little attempt to understand this mantra. What happens during Jagrat, when we wake up? When we wake up, we are conscious. That consciousness in me seems to split into 2. Just like in your dream, you create a dream body and a dream world. When you wake up, you create 2 things. You create your own body, you create your own world. And your experience is all external. So, Bahish Prajna, your experiences are all outside. And how do you get these interactions? Through the 5 sense organs, the 5 organs of action, the Pancha Prana, Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. These are the 19. And then this is a very important slide, which says it has got 7 limbs. Now look at your own body. The upper region is the heavens. All right. The sun and the moon are your eyes. The entire atmosphere, Vayu, is your breath. The fire is your mouth. Now, the entire body space is space or Akasha. The urinary bladder is the entire oceans, and your legs are the earth. Whom is the Upanishad talking about? It is talking about Virat, Ishwarupa Ishvara, which means in Mandukya, you have to see yourself when you are awake as Virat, no longer as Vishwa. If you see yourself as Vishwa, then you become a creature in your own dream. Now, in Mandukya, when you are awake, I create my own world during my Maya Shakti, and I am now Virat. What the five elements you have? The sun is the heavens above, and the sun is after that. You have Vayu, you have Agni, you have Apaha, water in the bladder, and Prithvi in the form of legs. You will see the entire Virat has been described. When you go to Shankara Bhashya, that Nanu will come. Nanu means objection. Now, once you are talking about Vishwa and then you're giving a description of Virat, and Adi Shankara says, no, this is not a problem. In Mandukya, Vishwa and Virat are akin. If you are able to see them, although I see them, I know, and you have to see yourself as the Virat. Only then you will be able to make more sense. The last mantra for today will be explained by Kirti. Kirti, please.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, verse 1.4. Mandukya Upanishad says, I, the consciousness Atma, the self, has got 4 padas or quarters. Mantra 4 describes the Dvitiya pada, second quarter, called Sukshma Atma. Swapnasthano antah prajnaha saptango ekona vimshati mukhaha praviviktabhuk taijaso dvitiya padaha. Translation. The second quarter is Taijasa, whose field is the dream state, Swapna Avastha, whose consciousness is inward, Antah Prajna, who has 7 limbs, Saptanga, who has 19 mouths, Ekona Vimshati Mukhaha, and who is the experiencer of subtle objects, Pravivikta Bhuk. When I, the consciousness, Sthula Atma, get away from the waking state, I have dissociated from the waker's body and the entire waker's world disappears for me. When I enter the dream state, I, the consciousness principle, Sukshma Atma, am associated with Swapnasthana, the dreamer's anatma or world. Here I am associated with Sukshma Nama Rupa, that is subtle names and forms, because dreams are mental projections of the mind. Mental projections are all Sukshma Vasanamaya Nama Rupa. I, the Atma, obtaining in Swapna Avastha, appear in twofold ways. Swapna Pramata, the knower in dream, associated with the Vyashti Sukshma Nama Rupa called Taijasa, and Swapna Prameyam as the knowable dream world associated with the Samashti Sukshma Nama Rupa Prapancha called Hiranyagarbha. Sukshma Atma in Swapnasthana, referred to as Taijasa, is Antah Prajnaha. That is, as a dreamer, my consciousness is internalized because the regular sense organs are not used to experience the dream world. Why? Because all the contacting instruments are closed. Eyes are closed, ears are non-functional, all the Gnanendriyas and Karmendriyas are not functional in Swapna Avastha when compared to its Bahish Prajna functional state in Jagrat Avastha. Therefore, I do not or cannot contact the external world. Then, what is the world I am experiencing in dream state? Swami Paramarthananda explains dream state as, during Jagrat Avastha, our Sthula Atma Vishwa is turned extroverted with fully functional Pancha Gnanendriyas and Karmendriyas. And our mind serves as a video recorder, and everything is recorded in the mind. And in Swapna Avastha, no more fresh recording happens, but whatever is already recorded, that is played back randomly. This is experienced internally as a dream in the mind. In the dream, you are there. It is like the virtual world you, and not the person sleeping on the bed dreaming in a sleep. You enter as a character in the dream. In dream state, I, Taijasa, am associated with a dream body having 19 subtle dream gateways or instruments. They include 5 dream sense organs, 5 dream organs of action, 5 pranas, 4 dream antakaranas, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. Dream sense objects are not made of panchabhutas as in Jagrata Avastha. They are made of one's own vasanas. The internal dream world is a random simulation made of thoughts, memories, vasanas, which are experiences and impressions registered and stored in our mind. They serve as a sensory input for creating the dream. Mental projections of the mind appear as subject and object in the dream. It is a distinct universe because my dream universe is available only for me. Without mind, there is no dream. When in a dream, my dream ahankara is interacting and projecting scenarios with dream people, objects, situations in specific space and time. When I snap out of it, I realize that the dream knower and the dream known are all in the mind and I was dreaming it. All are projected in I, the consciousness, Atma alone, which is Satyam. Thus, I, Sukshma Atma, as Swapna Pramata Taijasa in dream state, is Pravivikta Bhuk, the knower and experiencer of internal subtle world, Sukshma Prapancha Bhukta. The very same, I, the consciousness as Sukshma Atma in Swapna Avastha, also appears as Swapna Prameya Prapancha, dream world with Swapna Samashti Nama Rupa called Hiranyagarbha, the dream macrocosmic universe. The Swapna Pramata dreamer interacts and experiences the Swapna Prameyam, the dream universe in the dream. This Hiranyagarbha is similar to Virat Ishvara or Vaishvanara, but with 7 dream limbs, which project Vasanamaya heavens, sun, moon, Vayu, Agni, Jala, and Prithvi. Conclusion. I, the Sukshma Atma, in Swapna Avastha, I am Taijasa Vyashti Drishtya and Hiranyagarbha Samashti Drishtya. The Swapna Pramata dreamer Taijasa and Swapna Prameyam dream world Hiranyagarbha are none other than the subtle Atma, the second quarter of Atma, the self. Thank you, sir. Harihi Om.
Thank you very much, Kirti, for a nice explanation of the second mantra. Compared to the previous mantra, relatively more easy to understand. Actually, when you come to the Karikas, all these things become clarified because the Karikas will sort of summarize all these concepts and make Mandukya easy to understand. Mandukya focuses on the dream. In fact, the entire Vaitatya Prakaranam is a comparison between the dream world and the so-called real world, and to prove point for point how the real world is no way different from the dream world. In the dream world, who is the creator of the dream? I create. Who creates the dream body? I create. Who creates the dream world? And who suffers the dream? Why do I suffer? Because I do not know my true nature. I get nightmares because I do not know that this whole thing is my own creation and I suffer from my dream. Word for word is the so-called waking world. There is a nice discussion between Maitreyi and Yajnavalika because she is his former wife before he took sannyas. She has the freedom to ask all kinds of questions, and she keeps asking difficult questions. So he says, hold on. Now you answer my questions. Where are you? He says, I'm in your ashram. Where is this ashram? It is in Karnataka. Where's Karnataka? It is in India. Where is India? It is in the world. Where is the world? It is in space. Where is the space? In my mind. And where is the mind? In consciousness. So the external world is also in your mind. The internal world is also in your mind. Ultimately, the whole understanding is to come to that reality of who am I. And Mandukya helps you to understand, I am not this body. Mano buddhi hankara chittani naham. Then who am I? Chidananda rupaha shivam shivam. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah.
With this, we have come to an end of the session. We are grateful to Hegde sir and all speakers of the day for such an amazing session. Thank you all, friends, for your active participation in this divine journey. On coming Monday, 27th May, let us tune in for Gift Session 28. Now it's time to conclude the session with Shanti Mantra. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnabadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Thank you.